Hello, my name is Lucy Bond, and this is
Vincent Sissom.
Vincent Sissom, and this is Raising Awareness. This is my first time interviewing someone, but this is your seventh time being interviewed, so Vincent's a pro. Can you tell us a little bit about why you created this show and what we're going to talk about today?
Well, I've always had a fascination for disabilities, and God decided to use that to raise awareness about it. He called me to be a voice about disabilities and to show that not every disability is crystal clear.
Right, to share your stories and your life experience.
Yep.
Cool. That's exciting. Vincent has compiled a list of questions that he's received from the general public, and I'm going to share some of them with you all and the answers we will get from Vincent, hopefully, or his answers to those questions. So the first one is, if I punish my child who has a disability and they keep doing the same thing, what should I do?
It varies for the most part depending on whether it's a disability, it's the disability that's causing them to do it again and again, whether they're even receptive to punishment, because disability or not, some people or some children are not receptive to punishments.
And certain punishments, I think, also work better for certain kids, like certain kinds and tactics you can use for discipline.
Correct. Like a common tactic that I encourage for people with ADHD is essentially, if you want to punish a kid that has ADHD, have them do something repetitive.
Because that's like extra boring.
Yes, and that will drive home that issue. Now, if it's someone that is severely challenged, I'm not using the R word, but
we don't do that.
If they are that limited, then it'd be hard pressed to find one that even works for a disability.
Right.
Like that.
Right. Well,
because their brain might not be able to comprehend the issue.
That sounds pretty hopeless, but I'm sure that there are certain things that...
Yes. One I would recommend is keep hammering no, because unless the child is literally in the mental state of essentially being in a coma while awake, eventually it will drive home.
Vincent, can you recommend any organizations or groups that parents struggling with this could go to?
First one I would recommend is make sure mental health systems, while they more or less govern over the people who are the physicians, those sorts of people, they can point you more or less to the people who would be best suited for helping with those issues.
Good, that's very helpful.
So essentially, I'm pointing them to someone who will point them to the person they need. Because it's hard to figure out based on just on the person's description what those issues are.
Right, because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
And, human beings are so complicated. Okay. So, here is our next question. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. I bought my child, who is old enough to move out, even has a job, a new computer, and now all he does is sleep, eat, work, or he did that on the computer. Do you think he might have ADHD? Child is 19.
It's hard to figure out just on that information. I would say possibly. it's definitely an inclination towards that but it could just be, hey, it's something new. Give it like 6 to 8 months, because I talked with this person a little bit, and I found out that prior to this, he did have some gaming systems, and he would play them, but he would like ignore everything else.
Right.
But now, whenever he's home, he does extremely focus on that computer pretty much.
So what is the difference between someone who you think has ADHD or someone who just likes video games a lot?
The main difference is attention differential.
What can you explain what that means a little more?
It more or less means it's not just general lack of focus, it's being able to focus on things that are not necessarily designed to absorb, but it does for them regardless.
Like, I was reading about an article, and it was about hyperfocus, and it had to do with people with ADD and ADHD, that like, while sometimes it's hard for them to focus on like a certain task, like a math sheet or something, that like when they do get into something or something does like spark their imagination or their interest, then it's like hyper focus, and like they forget to eat and sleep and like that kind of thing.
I would say the only thing there's 2 things I would recommend. One, make sure that he is at least trying to clean up his place, because I've seen that sort of thing happen more times than I care to count. And the other is give it some time. For what I understand, this is kind of normal for him, but apparently this is lasting longer than usual.
Right.
Like, she got the computer for her son like 6 months ago, and he's still hyper focused on it.
Right.
Which would make me question it, but something like a new computer, if you've never had your own personal computer, it can last up to a year and a half, possibly.
Yeah.
Even for people that don't have ADHD.
Yeah. I feel like you're right in that his specific problem seems like it's more about the computer and less about him having ADHD, because like I know
it's possible, because with ADHD it does draw your attention.
Right.
But I would have to ask, is there any activities that he seems to do a lot?
Right.
That he can hyper focus on, like
hyper focus on instead of
the computer, because the computer is kind of designed to draw your attention.
See you in.
And I'm glad that he's at least sleeping and eating, and according to the parent, it's regular sleeping and eating. And it doesn't seem like he's distracted at work from what I got from the parent. Like, he's still hard working at his job as he was before, but he's definitely more so glued to that computer.
Right.
I would also recommend finding out what exactly is causing him to stay focused on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's more about what the root of the problem is, and maybe, Okay.
Let's hope it's something healthy, like he's just addicted to YouTube videos and he's not doing something else.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Do you feel, so here's another question. Do you feel that rich people who give directly to a child or an adult with a disability should get a tax cut?
This one was very interesting because it was sparked by a person who was like, if some rich people would get tax cut for giving directly to a person,
rather than an organization.
Yeah.
You mean? Okay.
There are so many loopholes someone could use. Like they would have to establish that it couldn't be a family member, and it couldn't be a person that has a mild disability. Like,
yeah, it seems like that would be really hard to like regulate and to make sure that they're not, like you said, lying about it, or there's a lot of
and I could now in certain circumstances I would understand it. Like, if someone is struggling to live on their own, and this person provides them with a place to stay, if someone was that rich and actually paid for someone to give them a house free of charge, I would say, that'd be something worth,
well, then
right?
You could claim them as a dependent, right? Is that how that works? How do you tax this?
Well, if it was an adult, no, unfortunately.
Now we are going to take a short break, and we will be right back.
We are MCTV, Midshore Community Television. We want your help in making our station more robust so that we can better serve the residents of Talbot County. So, how can you help? If you are already making video content, submit that content for broadcast to the station. It's free! Are you involved in events, shows, or lectures that would be of interest to the community? We can work with you to figure out the best way to capture those events for airing on MCTV, be it training, equipment rental, or hiring our production staff to film at a reasonable rate. Do you want to produce your own show? Let us help you get started. Come be a part of this valuable community resource. Email the station at nick@avalonfoundation.org or visit us in the basement of the historic Avalon Theater at 40 East Dover Street in downtown Easton.
Hello, I am back here with Vincent, and this is Raising Awareness. We were just having a conversation about what Vincent would do as a lawmaker, and I think he'd really cut down on the prison population, which is really, really innovative. But we have some. You wanted to talk about our president today, didn't you?
Yes. I originally, when I first talked about Trump, I was in positive encouragement for him because he supported Benedictine, which I used to work at.
Right.
We'll get to that later.
But school.
Yeah, and then as it went on, I was less encouraged, and I ended up voting for Trump not because he was the best candidate in my opinion, but because I just didn't want Hillary to win. Because after what I found out, what she potentially did, if she actually did it, the information leaking.
Right.
If she did that with as low power as she had at the time, I did not want her running this country.
Right.
So she was out as soon as I found that out. Trump was lowering his points, and I was like, I might just vote third party. And it was, but someone told me essentially a vote for a third party is a vote for Hillary. And in this day, a vote for anyone other than Hillary might as well have been a vote for Hillary because she dominated the state.
Right. What do you make of the allegations again about Russian collusion with the Trump?
I was like, honestly, if the Russians really did anything, all they did was just make it more certain Trump would win. I'm pretty sure after what happened with what came out about Hillary, any state that wasn't pure blue was going to vote against her.
Right.
So at that point, if the Russians actually did get that information to be leaked out, then yeah, they pretty much determined the president, but otherwise it wasn't gonna matter.
Right. Because you wanted that anyway. So you don't care if he colluded with Russia.
Yeah, at that point, it did make me. It was the first thing that did make me reconsider him. Mm-hmm. And then several other aspects made me really reconsider him and got me considering third-party candidates.
Right.
But I will say this. We're in 2018, he's been president for over a year now, and World War III hasn't started. I'm feeling better and better about my vote each day that we don't end up in World War III.
That's a really positive way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another topic that you wanted to talk about was work. So do you have a job?
Yeah, I used to work at Benedictine.
The school?
Yeah.
My uncle went there a few years ago.
Well, I no longer work there. Thanks to Doors and Benedictine working together, they helped me get a job at Target, and I've been there. Tomorrow, at the time of this recording, tomorrow will mark 1 year there.
Woo! Wow, that's
and
awesome.
For January, I was voted Employee of the Month for my store.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Do you like working at Target better than working at the Benedictine school?
More so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things I miss about Benedictine, but I like Target more than I like Benedictine. I will admit that. Mm-hmm. It's a great place to work.
Is carts your favorite job?
It's the only job I've been able to do, technically. But it's a good workout. If you want to work out, be a cart attendant. You're gonna lose weight.
Get your arms. Is it arms?
Yeah.
Do you
arms
ever
and some legs.
Some legs you gotta push off really hard.
Yeah. People think it's easy because they think pushing one cart's easy. Pushing 7 shouldn't be that big of an issue. Mm-hmm. Or they have an automatic machine.
They get a lot heavier.
They do get a lot heavier at 7.
Do you ever have issues with the fact that the carts is like repetitive? Is that a repetitive job?
Not necessarily. Mostly because it allows me to keep my mind active with other things.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about while you're working?
Like different situations, various other things.
Mm-hmm. And then can you tell me what were your jobs at the Benedictine school? What did you do there?
I was a janitor and I was part of the screen printing department.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so we have some more questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Our next one is my wife, who has ADD, plays music in the house while she cleans or cooks and says that it helps her focus. Is that normal?
And I could tell by the person who asked it, the gentleman was like, I really hope it isn't normal for that. Tough luck, dude. It is normal. Mm-hmm. Because music typically keeps the mind active while you're doing more mundane things.
Right. Yeah.
So, when she's playing music in the house, it really does help her focus, most likely. Mm-hmm. Because doing something as mundane as cleaning can be hard to focus on for anyone, let alone someone with ADD.
Right. Yeah, it just makes it more fun. I think most people like to listen to music while they clean.
Yeah.
Do kind of household things.
Yeah.
Or tasks like that.
Yeah, but it really does help ADHD. I can tell you from experience.
Right.
One thing I would recommend is just talk with her, figure out what sort of music you two both agree upon, and play those musics.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
For that particular situation, because otherwise you're just gonna have to deal with it because she's gonna probably need that music at this point.
Right, yeah. That makes sense to me. Do you think that the reason that this person was asking was because maybe music is distracting for them? And that's, like, why, like, for her, she needs it to focus, but it makes it harder?
It may depend on the type of music that she's playing to help her focus. And you even brought up previously that certain music causes you to focus on the music too much and you can't get anything done. Well, that's true for ADHD, but it's to a lesser extent sometimes.
Right. Okay. Our last question is, my child who has a disability wants to move out on her own. What should I do to help her get ready?
Few things. One, establish a close enough location that has reasonable income requirements. 2, make sure there's public transportation, because if not, you're still going to be transporting them everywhere.
Right.
So preferably a place that has a bus stop. Find a place like that, or a bus stop nearby that is in walking distance. And 3, help her manage her budget, because I live in an apartment complex that's low income, and yet there are still people who don't pay their rent. And I could tell some of those people have disabilities, but that's no excuse. If I can pay my rent each and every month, I've literally been late twice, and I've never missed a month. I can assure you, if they had the proper supports put in place, like family, help remind them, hey, time to pay your rent, or say or help them, remind them, hey, you don't have enough money in the bank account to get this because you need to pay your rent.
Right.
As for public resources, in this area, I would recommend a place called Chesapeake Voyagers. They help people with mental illness and some disabilities get better situated and be a part of society. They do it through finding resources, doing peer-to-peer, various other things. They're a non-profit at 342C North Aurora Street, and they can definitely help you get situated elsewhere. You might have to stay at a friend's house or a shelter for a little bit, which I would recommend the friend's house, not only because the shelter is terrible, but because they're typically filled to capacity. But I would recommend that. They're in multiple counties. Their main location is in Easton, though.
So you live on your own?
Yeah.
What's the most challenging thing about living on your own? Or just, like, the hardest thing?
Keeping my place clean.
Same.
So, I did make a New Year's resolution to keep my place clean more than I did last year.
How's that going for you?
Good.
Okay.
It's actually not going too badly. There's a few bumps, but overall, comparing this time last year to this time this year, it's definitely clear on average.
So if I were to go to your apartment, would I be able to see the floor?
You'd be able to see the floor, no issue.
Oh, okay. You're doing well then. That's all that really matters, I think.
In most of the apartment. Not 100% clear floors, but it's a good 80 to 90%.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. Better than me. So there you go.
do you have a family member that is a clean freak?
My mom's pretty neat. She's a little. I wouldn't call her like a clean freak. I'm just really
have
messy.
her support you in keeping the place clean a little bit.
I think she already does that.
Okay.
She definitely is very supportive of me keeping the place clean.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions that we have. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, you wanted to bring up about my hobbies. As of late, I've been doing some game design.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on a My Little Pony Tactics game.
Oh, that sounds super interesting.
Yeah, it's...
How do you win? Sorry.
It's coming along well. And as of right now, the game is about 20% completed.
Do you know how you win it yet?
I do know how you get to the post game.
The post game.
Yeah, the main story is 20% completed. Post game's not even worked on.
Oh, so is this like a board game or is it
More like a board game.
more like? Do you play like Catan and like?
Not exactly like that.
Okay.
More like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
You
gotcha.
get a team of 3 friends together to make a team, and you basically go through the different battle scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm encouraging is being able to create a adventure where you determine when you first get into a stage what boss you're facing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that boss will affect the enemies
Oh, okay. Yeah.
you face in that stage.
Is there a lot of imagination required to play this game?
A lot of imagination for the person controlling the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much, not nearly as much for one who's just joined it, who's part of the party.
Well, I think that that's all we actually have for today to discuss. So my name is Lucy Bond, and this is...
Vincent Sissom.
And this has been Raising Awareness.
And remember, never judge a book by its cover. Its pages might surprise you, and those pages can help you out someday. Thank you.